All right, aloha. So that's how the process works. I'd like to welcome everyone to our 14th annual Ecological Ethics, Activism, and Justice. This is the 14th year that we've had conferences on the islands focusing on Earth Day. And what we're going to look at today is a couple of different things. The agenda we have is there. We'll be looking at clean elections, cleaner environment, the Stampede movement to get money out of politics. That is a new campaign that was headed up by Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream. They're not only into making great ice cream, they're also into trying to improve the country. So they had a campaign on getting money out of politics, and there was a local bill here. It was Bill 1481. It was this card here that a bunch of people were working on, House Bill 1481. Unfortunately, we just got an update from the main person that was organizing, and that bill was killed this session, so they'll be back again next year. But the Stampede campaign is a great one where they have people stamping all their money, and that's very important too with the recent Supreme Court decision that then expanded even more how much people to contribute to political campaigns and no limit to as many candidates. The second thing we're going to talk about is an inconvenient truth, our inevitable task, creating a moral courage movement for climate justice. That'll focus on the sustainability conference that took place last week, Tuesday, and also we had Al Gore speaking. So we thought that would be kind of important to cover that. Then we have Hawaii issues in the International Human Rights Instruments and Institution. Just came back from Geneva last month where we brought a couple of issues to the UN Human Rights Council as well as the UN Human Rights Committee regarding pesticide use and the bill that was adopted on Kawaii last semester that we talked about. Then we have the worldwide voyage in an era of global warming, enabling Pacific Islanders to advance and adapt on collaborative efforts to overcome the climate crisis wave of change. Yesterday, Hokulea just had their event, the Polynesian Voyaging Society for all educators, and they announced their tour dates. And one of the things they're going to do, which is kind of significant and important on this tour, is they're going to use Google Hangout, which we've used before as well in this session, and they're going to allow students and NGOs or community groups doing good sustainability projects to interact and talk with them all the time. Also, when they go into every different port, they're going to meet with different indigenous peoples to work on common cultural norms and also build up solidarity among common challenges they face. And one of the most important issues they're going to look at is climate change. And there was a really good group that did that a little bit earlier, but on a smaller scale. There was the Climate Canoe Voyager that was out of Papua New Guinea, and they went through the Solomon Islands and other Pacific Island states sharing examples of what they've been doing with climate change adaptation. So I'll just give you an update on that. And then Earth Day, every day in Hawaii, different campus campaigns, what people are doing, where we'll allow people to come in from the other islands to share what's going on there. And then another amazing campaign is called 350.org. 350.org is also important because later this week, Bill McKibben will actually be here in Hawaii on Thursday. So if you look at, we've had quite an amazing Earth Day month so far. We started off last month with the president of Kiribati. Tong was actually here at the East-West Center speaking about climate change impacts in Kiribati. That's very important because they will become maybe the first nation that will actually have to leave their country, over 100,000 people, because they're at the same level as the sea right now with rising sea levels. You see the salt water coming up and already destroying their fresh water. So they actually have problems then with making sure they have enough water for everyone to consume. Also, salt water is coming up and destroying the taro. So then the traditional crops and food is also being eliminated. And then, of course, the water is just coming up over the land. So the president of Kiribati, his speech last month was quite amazing. Al Gore, just 1 week ago today. And then Bill McKibben on Thursday. It's quite an amazing group of human rights and climate change advocates to be on our campus in such a short time period. And then the last thing is there's a brand new TV series called The Year of Living Dangerously, and I called it Hollywood Connects Climate Change and Human Rights. So you actually have James Cameron from Avatar or Titanic fame, depending on where you're at, talking about the important aspects of climate change and sending new kind of correspondence. You have Don Cheadle, Harrison Ford, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the other reporters that are on CNN and ABC, NBC to go look at how climate change is impacting. And each campus can host that, so we thought we would show that as well. So those are just some of the things that we'll be going over today. One of the things, the first thing we wanted to go over was the Stampede movement. The Stampede, if you look at that, I can just show it to you real quick. The Stampede movement is this right here. It's called Stamp Money Out of Politics, Your Handy Dandy Guide to Stamping. And Ben Cohen was actually here on the island and also went to Maui. And the main thing he partnered up with was Common Cause Hawaii, Sierra Club, Hawaii Seed, FACE, as well as Clean Elections. And the main thing there was to look at how money is influencing politics. And it was good because the first time the environmental groups really got involved to be able to put pressure, because they're realizing that they have a lot of green, but it's more on the nature side. But those that have a lot of the other green and the money side is, of course, making undue influence in politics. So Ben Cohen was able to start this campaign where everyone actually stamps their dollars and then talks to people about what they can do and how they can get involved. So we'll see that real briefly. It's a short little film. And then after that short film, we'll also let the people on the neighbor island, everybody can just introduce themselves really quickly. So let me just pull that up real quick.
Situation.
There's too much money in politics.
Well, it's not that there's too much money. To me, it's not there's too much money in politics. It's who the money's coming from. I mean, the rich and the corporations are controlling our elections and our politicians because they own them, because they buy them.
And so our government is not responsive to the needs of the people.
Exactly.
So we need to overcome that. We need to have a constitutional amendment to overturn the Citizens United Supreme Court decision.
And then some.
And in order to do that, we need a groundswell of Americans, the grassroots, to rise up and to get that message out. You've created the Stampede.
Yeah, because it really is possible for the grassroots to rise up and demand something when all you have to do is stamp a dollar. It's really easy to do. Anybody can do it for as much as they want, as little as they want. They can do it alone. They can do it with other people. I mean, it's a nice thing to do when you're having a drink at a bar,
And what
coffee at the
what do the
coffee
messages
shop.
say?
Well, this one says, stamp money out of politics. This one says, the system isn't broken, it's fixed. You know, they all say amend the Constitution at the bottom. This one says, not to be used for bribing politicians. This is kind of my favorite one.
That's your go-to stamp?
Yeah. I mean, I also like the system isn't broken, it's fixed, but that's a little deep, you know?
It's a play on words.
People don't get that right off. You know, some people have to think about it for a while. Then, you know, when they get it, they think it's cool. Every bill that you stamp gets seen by 900 people.
So finally, people can do something that they care about.
Yeah, and they can do it anywhere, anytime, whatever's convenient for them.
It feels like you're able to participate. It's only slightly subversive.
Just slightly. But it is legal. It is definitely legal. We have the legal opinions, the lawyers, the whole deal.
That is excellent. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So people can do something that's positive, that's constructive. They don't have to sit around lamenting.
No, you get pissed. You get on your old stamp pad, man, and you stamp, man. You get it out, you know? I mean, this is cathartic.
So Ben, you got to get the word out.
That's the whole deal. You go to stampstampede.org and you get one of these stamps.
To get the word out.
That's right.
About a constitutional amendment to return our democracy to the people.
You got it. You got it.
That was just one of the first things that we're going to cover. Interesting enough, when they were doing that, Bill McKibben, they were both here. They had a couple of questions. They actually have an annual cone day. So the exciting thing is there's actually a cone day every year where they give away free ice cream. I don't know if I should be proud about that, but I did know when that was. So I actually won the stamp. So they actually gave me this one. So cool thing is you can actually see how it works. It's pretty simple. All you do is just hold that down and then go like that. And then there it's there. So it's one of the little things that he gave. And everybody really wanted this one. I don't know why. They thought it was so cool because it's kind of like a switchblade of of activism. So it's what anybody can do. But it was kind of a unique idea that they were saying, 900 people see every dollar. So they were trying to get people to then be involved and do small, simple things. Because everyone always says, what can I do? It's so difficult. So that's one simple thing. And it says, this one says, not to be used for bribing. So that's good. I don't think we'll use it for that anyway. But that's a little example there. So that was the Ben and Jerry Stampede activity and event. We're going to do clean elections, cleaner environment. So we thought that was kind of important. We'll just take a minute to introduce people on the neighbor island as well so they can participate. And then we'll go through all the other agenda items. So once again, this is our 14th annual Ecological Ethics, Activism, Justice Conference. And this is our 6th season of using the Hawaii Interactive Television System to be able to communicate once a month with our Human Rights Sustainability Campus Community Dialogue. And then the great thing about it is, especially on Earth Day, to bring everyone in to have a conference and discuss the environment would put a big carbon footprint. But by doing it this way, we're not using anything. We're just be able to talk this way, and no one has to fly and leave their home and can still go home and do other activities that they're interested in doing. So we can introduce ourselves here in the room, but we could also go to the neighbor island. We see the people there if they want to just hit their microphone and talk there.
Hello, Joshua. This is Carol Bain on Kauai.
Hello, Carol. Good to see you.
Okay. Wanted to make sure that I'm not overstepping someone. I just wanted you to know we, in our campus newspaper, we did promote this event today, and we have. I'm expecting a large group to walk through that are visiting our campus, and I'm glad you're going to have an update. I could give a short update on the County of Kauai pesticide and genetically modified crop ordinance, if you'd like.
That'd be
which
great.
I think is on your that's on your agenda.
It is. It is.
What time do you think you'll want to hear that?
Probably in like 10 minutes, 15.
Oh, great! I'll be ready.
Is that
for
okay
you.
for you?
Yes, it is. So, thanks.
Great.
Aloha.
Thank you. How's Kauai doing on Earth Day? Any big things planned today, or?
Yesterday we held our Earth Day one day early, so it was held yesterday, and it started at 11 and went till 4. We had live music, a lot of information tables from many nonprofits. We had a zero waste event, so it was an excellent Earth Day. I think it's the 6th annual Earth Day in a row that we've been able to succeed, and the thanks to this year to the student government, the ASUH Kauai Community College student government paid for the tent and the music and all. So it was a success.
Perfect. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. Okay, I think we see other people on another island as well. They just want to click on the microphone.
Oh, hi, this is Ruth calling from the Big Island. Can you hear me?
Aloha. Yes, Ruth, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
How are you doing?
This is with United Nations Association, and we had two really big Earth Day celebrations. One was at the University of Hawaii Hilo campus last week, all day, and then the next day was at the community college campus. And so it was great,
That's good. So they don't do it together anymore. They do it on 2 separate days or 2 different times?
Well, this is the first year they've done that, but it was really good. A lot of people came, and yeah. Eleanor,
Perfect.
Introduce yourself, Eleanor. Okay. Eleanor?
I want to tell you about our United Nations meeting that we have with the board met, and we met with some of the students that went to Model UN.
Great.
And we have the young man that's kind of an apprentice this year teaching at the Model UN under political sci. He's on our board, but he may or may not get hired back next year. However, we are going this Friday to hear a report on what happened. They went to San Francisco this year, and they got didn't they get an honor?
They got an honor.
And we will listen to the report and serve refreshments.
That's great.
So that
I
was
know we just had a meeting here where we're looking at doing the Model UN between the colleges as well as the high schools. So we're looking at developing that in the next year, and we're looking at doing like a Model UN Human Rights Council that's a little bit more manageable with 47 members, and also unique in that there's not a Model UN Human Rights Council out there yet. And then the other side is just certain things that are coming up, such as a Model UN Sustainable Development Goals, because those negotiations will be going on actually starting May 5th through 9th, and then the first of every month they're coming up with the final word until they come up to 2015 in September, when they'll have the MDGs will be completed, and then they'll start the next 15 years of the development dialogue, and then they'll be called the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And we're looking at doing a Model UN on those too. So maybe we could use the interactive television system, or maybe Google Hangout, and we'll be able to have a Model UN statewide for Hawaii, and we can look at some of the topics looking at sustainability and coordinate that. So that's great. We look forward to hearing more about that. We had a meeting also when I was in DC with Chris Watley from UNA, the president, and he's very excited about working with us, and he's thanks you and appreciates you for the words that you send to him as well. So great to hear from Hilo. I'm glad your UNA is going well. Not sure if there's any other room that people want to time in. I see Carol from Kauai, and then we just had Hilo. If not, we'll move to Manoa then, since we have a couple people here, and just a quick introduction, and then we'll go into the inconvenient truth or inevitable task, and Don will be able to give us a brief highlight.
Hello, I'm Roberta. I just graduated from BYU Hawaii in political science, and I'm an intern for Joshua Cooper, and I'm glad to be here today.
Okay. Yep.
Which button?
Just the one right there, the green.
Hi, my name is Richard Bradshaw. I'm a psychologist and an environmentalist here studying peace studies at UH Manoa.
Great. Just tap it. Okay. Cool. Do you want to go next, and then we'll let... I think it's in the front part. There you go.
Hi, I'm Christina Malama. This is my first time here. I'm a graduating senior in psychology here at Manoa, and it's a great experience to be here today.
Okay, thank you. And then Coco, just real quick, and we'll...
Hi, aloha. My name is Coco Needham. I am a student here of Joshua's and our Pacific Island Studies 492, Climate Change in Oceania. So we're looking at the impact of climate change on small island nations, or the Pacific in general. Thank you.
Cool. Hello. Don?
Yes, Don Peel with United Nations Association, Honolulu, and I'm also just graduating this year from Educational Foundations, and I've been working with the University Laboratory on Going Green.
Perfect. So that brings us up to our next topic. We're looking at an inconvenient truth or inevitable task, and we're fortunate to have Al Gore speaking here on Tuesday night. I don't know how many people are able to go to that at all. And so it was the usual speech that he gives with the slideshow. I'm fortunate enough to be one of the presenters, so we all got trained in Nashville, Tennessee. He does update the slides like on a daily basis. He's just crazy about those slides. And we got to see the latest one that connected everything with Hurricane Sandy, the typhoon that went through the Philippines that we organized the benefit for last year. And he was able to then speak about where we're at now. One interesting aspect that has changed from the first time when we did the training in 2007 is, besides having the positive Melissa Etheridge music and saying that, our political will is a renewable resource, he kind of has a new thing that seems like he sees it positive that we can move forward in how technology could be used, using the example of the cell phone, how everyone has one now and how they can be used as a tool, and also how the cost of solar power is going lower. And he says, when of course once solar goes low at a certain point, then we'll be able to, no longer will the companies be able to argue that. He gave some great examples of left and right coming together. He called it the green tea movement, I guess, where they came together on the left and right, where they're trying to put a tax on people who would put solar on their house every month. So he talked about that example. But another thing besides the kind of inspirational talk was the all-day seminar that happened. So there's a sustainability seminar all day that brought a lot of the people in Hawaii, a lot of elected officials, a lot of people from the university, a lot of community advocates, and Don Peel was able to attend that. I wonder if you could give us just a brief overview of maybe some of the best talks or some of the important sides that's talking about how Hawaii could be a model for the rest of the world.
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure. Yeah, it was an intensive day, all-day event. It started out in the morning with a panel sort of focused on energy and water. Also, Senator Boxer was there, and she talked about the Boxer bill, which is about putting a tax on carbon. That was quite interesting. Being from Alberta, one of the things that that's where I originate from, where there's a big controversy over the tar sands. She came out sort of opposing the construction of the Keystone Pipeline because it's sort of a dirty oil is what it's being targeted as. So actually being from Alberta and being a geologist, I sort of have an understanding of the works of it. And what seems to be sort of missing from this whole discussion is about the burning of fossil fuels related to the oil industry in whole. And this is just sort of a small focus on one particular project. And the Keystone, actually they're already pumping tar sands down to Texas. So this is sort of I guess a segue into the whole debate on carbon tax, which is what the Boxer bill is behind. The speaker I found most inspiring was Nainoa Thompson when he talked about the Hawaiian values being integrated, then this thing that he's behind on the worldwide voyage. He got a standing ovation. He was the only one on the panel that actually sort of got people really engaged in the heart. Everybody else was sort of in the head, in the intellect. So it was a good balance with regards to that. In the afternoon at the East-West Center, we had workshops. I was able to attend the Green Building workshop because of my interest with working with the University Laboratory School as maybe being a model of sustainability in facilities, because they're looking at reconstruction of the campus. So I thought that might be a nice little working model as a research area, research demonstration site for, well, I guess the whole world, and related to education for sustainable development. And then I think what I got out of Al Gore's talk was about we need to rally. You know, it's about working together, collaborating, and I think it's a real community thing. And I think that's where the Hawaiian community really sort of embellishes is the ohana, the family, and community working together. So I think that, yeah, overall this was pretty incredible with all the different people from different areas, from corporations to NGOs involved in this. The only thing that I would recommend, it would be more interactive. It was a lot of information coming out from all these speakers, and there wasn't actually too much question period. And I think that's where, if they want to involve community, that's what we need. So maybe in future sustainabilities, that could be something that they integrate. Even the workshops were sort of confined to more speakers than interaction with the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don, for the update. Do you know if they recorded those by any chance, or like the panels, or?
Boxer's speech was recorded. It's actually has been posted on the University of Hawaii News.
Okay.
There was segments of Al Gore's speech. There was a camera there, but I don't think they were picking up the full.
Okay, so no Nainoa Thompson, his entire speech?
Yeah, that was one of the things I asked the news if that could be posted, if it was recorded, and if it could be posted, because that was really inspirational, yeah.
Okay. Just thought I'd check because that's our next agenda item after the updates when Carol can talk about Kauai, because with the Polynesian Voyaging Society and the Worldwide Voyage, they have 2 boats now. And so Hoku and Hiki, and then one is powered entirely by solar. So they decided to actually go entirely green with the boat that accompanies, the canoe that accompanies Hokulea. So that was amazing. That was open yesterday for the first time. So Nainoa was there, everyone was there, all the educators were there on how we can actually use this voyage to then utilize everyone's understanding of the environment, but exactly what you're talking about, to actually take action and to participate. And so that was kind of important to, I thought it would be good to hear Nainoa's words on that and be able to conclude with that and include that. We'll go with Carol now. What happened with Kauai is Gary Hoosier gave us some information about the ordinance that was adopted in November last year. And then with that information, I was able to take it to a couple of international instruments and institutions that focus on human rights and environment. But I was going to let Carol give an update first on what was happening on Kauai and what's going on from the ground, and then just do a short presentation of some of the things that we're able to do with the information that Councilmember Hoosier shared with us.
Thank you, Joshua. I'll try to speak up. Let me know if you can't hear me. The only reason I'm standing is because I want to show the newspaper, if it'll focus.
A little bit more to the right, I think. There you go.
And basically, today's headline is that this bill 2491, which is commonly known as, did become an ordinance after it was modified. But even in its modified version, the attorneys for Pioneer and the other seed companies are
chemical companies.
And genetically modified chemical companies are trying to challenge it. They've got attorneys that are calling the backers of this bill eco-terrorists. And so they're pushing it into court. It's going to be heard on July 23rd in U.S. District Court. Fortunately, Earth Justice Paul Achitoff said Monday his legal team also plans to file its own motions arguing in support of the County T ordinance. So the people on Kauai are continuing to try to control these large corporations that are bringing so many chemicals, to the island. I'll let, I have a couple other people here that may want to update you on things. Sure. You should know that there's a petition happening right now to put a charter amendment regarding this whole issue to give our county within its own charter some control over large corporations that want to bring in chemicals. I'm not totally up to date on the full charter amendment, so that's the overview to what's happening. We even the modified 2491 county pesticide and genetically modified crop ordinance is being challenged. So the battle continues. Go ahead, and maybe you guys want to speak as well on any of these issues. Toto, did you know anything to add?
We're it's an election year. Oh, Makoto Lane, president of the Sustainability Club, and involved with the student government and a lot of other things. I'm also helping Dylan Hoosier run for, or actually I'm his campaign manager, Dylan Hoosier's campaign manager, running for the state rep spot, District 15 on Kauai here. We're still having a lot of problems with corruption in our government, in our local government and statewide. I just came across a picture the other day with our mayor, Bernard Carvalho, buddy and smiling and pretty much partying with one of the representatives of a chemical company that's suing our county. And so I believe that's very a very obvious conflict of interest going on there. And so, you know, I just think that that should be brought to light more and more often. A lot of the campaign contributions that the chemical companies are making towards our elected officials are, you know, are very much in everybody's face, and it's very crooked, in my opinion. Yesterday, we celebrated Earth Day. We had lots of entertainment and food, and our Hawaiian, we teamed up with our Hawaiian club, and we had poi pounding. The Hawaiian club actually did an emu pit on Sunday for Easter to cook pork and rice pudding and the kind. And it was a successful event. We had Hawaii Seed here, Mom Hui, and a bunch of other entities. National Botanical Garden. What were some of the other ones?
Save Our Shearwater.
Save Our Shearwater.
Zero Waste Kauai.
Zero Waste Kauai. That was a very important one. Zero Waste Kauai is very proactive in recycling and trying to keep everything we can from the landfill that can be recycled or composted. I really want to team up strongly with them. I think it's pretty ridiculous that our county, Kauai County, is, in my opinion, 15 to 20 years behind the times. We don't have a sorting facility on the island here. I've talked with the mayor about it, Carvalho, and he just laughs. And it's very frustrating for me because we have visitors from all over the world. And I was raised in Southern California. We made the transition to having one recycling bin and one trash bin, and the recycling bin goes straight to the sorting facility and gets sorted out. Here on Kauai, you look in any of the trash cans at the beaches or at parks, and there's about 85% recyclable material going straight to the landfills here. And it's very discouraging. The mayor doesn't care at all about it, does not want to spend any resources at all to have a sorting facility here. And I mean, it just goes to show his priorities and values. And it doesn't reflect the Hawaiian native culture or pretty much most of the population on the island here. And it's just very discouraging to me.
All right.
So anyways, yeah, Zero Waste, Pat Geegan and John Herder, those guys are really good in trying to promote that. And, you know, just having some kind of, I guess, garbage responsibility in lieu of our local administration not really caring or giving a damn about it. What else do we have going on?
On Earth Day?
Yeah, we had prizes and stuff. The students really enjoyed it. It was a good, you know, it was good.
Senator Schatz.
Oh yeah, Senator Schatz showed up. And he did a little tour of this. Yeah, he did a little tour of the school. Our culinary department was able to show him around and show him, you know, what kind of sustainable efforts they were taking. We went over to our sustainability wing of the school is called Ho'olu Vehi, and actually. Laura Williams here is affiliated with that. She's our sustainability teacher here at the school, instructor. And so we were able to show Senator Schatz affordable housing, container house that we've been working on. Some of the farm, what was it? Aquaponics, which is very cleanly put together here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the aquaponics. It's a good system. And we went to the tech center where they had some cool technology there. We did have a problem though with the administration. It was kind of a censorship issue. One of the groups here, Hawaii Seed, had a banner and they were asked to take it down. And so it's kind of become an issue with censoring. Basically, like they don't want to, the administration here does not want to address what's going on with the whole chemical industry thing on the island, and that's become a problem with the students. And it goes back to the Board of Regents. I know the Board of Regents recently made a promise to have hold sustainability as a priority. However,
Yes, they did.
However, maybe the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing there, because they're still heavily involved with promoting chemical industry programs that are poisoning the island and the islands in general. And so we have to figure out like which direction they want to head.
Cool. We can definitely discuss that for future, human rights and sustainability campus community dialogues. We can pick specific issues that we'd like to talk about, and then get all the students' perspectives on the different islands and kind of pool that. So maybe we could look at policy as well, because I know Don was on that sustainability group as well, and I know they worked hard to get, that mandate for sustainability to be a priority. So that's good. And then Laura, could you tell us maybe about the class you're teaching with sustainability as well, maybe?
We haven't started the class yet. It'll start in the fall. We just got our authorization to plan approved by the CCAO last week. And then we're going to do the program proposal in June. And then we hope to start offering classes in the fall. Well, they've already been approved by curriculum committee. So anyway, it's an introduction to sustainability science class and an introduction to sustainable energy technology that we're going to run in the fall. And then in the spring, we're going to do sustainable ag systems, sustainable water and waste management, and sustainable building construction. I forget the exact title of that one, but it's about building leads, affordable housing, how you can green the construction industry. So we'll probably have a construction instructor teach that class. And so it's a 25 to 27. What?
I said they sound like some very innovative classes and practical as well that could be useful.
Yeah, it's a 25 to 27 credit program that we're putting together, and so we're combining math and science and English and some business, and hopefully we can grow it into a 2-year program. I know it's a sustainability summit. That was something that a lot of the faculty members wanted to do, was create a comprehensive 2-year sustainability degree. So that's our next goal that we'd like to accomplish, is grow it into a 2-year degree. But we're starting with the certificate program.
Undergrad program?
I think it's a associate degree program, right, Laura?
It's an undergrad program, yeah, associate degree.
Did you have a question for Laura, or? Okay. Okay.
And we've worked with Maui, so I just want to plug them as well. We worked with Maui College a lot with their BAS and sustainability science, so they were an integral part of the whole process. So if anybody from Maui is there, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing the aloha. It's always good to try to do. That's one of the ideas, really the spirit behind this monthly dialogue, is for everybody to talk together and without having to travel to go see each other, and then just to keep the communication going. Because I know when we first started things and we just did things on Earth Day, everybody gets excited maybe around January, then it gets going. February, March, everybody's real giddy, then it's April, and then the end of the semester. And then there was nothing in the fall, so we started doing the Earth Charter around October, because that was a very significant document coming out of the Rio Summit. And so at least then we had 2 events that we wouldn't lose momentum and everybody just start getting excited, once a year. So I think these monthly things are good, but I think there's some great ideas that are coming out of your courses that maybe we could share and maybe do some sustainability curriculum conversations, maybe something in the fall. One of the September, October, November could just be looking at sustainability curriculum and working on that together.
I wanted to add at the county level, there's some leaders that came out of the 2491 movement. I've heard around that Dustin Barca is going to be running for the mayor of Kauai in the upcoming elections. Fern Avenue, who's also affiliated with Ohana Kauai, is going to be running for city council. And then Dylan Hooser, of course, Gary Hooser's son, is going to be running for the District 15 rep spot. And so it's very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting election coming up.
Perfect.
And so, yeah. And, Laura Williams is the faculty advisor for our newly formed sustainability club on campus here. and that's who put on Earth Day this year. It was a lot of work, but it's been very interesting that there's so many students involved and that have energy for it and really have that as a priority in their lives and for the island in general. It's very good.
And also I wanted to say that ASHE does a campus sustainability day in the fall, because that was their thing, is that people do get excited about Earth Day in the spring and then there's nothing in the fall, and I think that usually is in like September, October. And I wanted to try to do something about that last year, but I was new and I didn't really have the time to put it together. But if somebody, if as a system we're interested in trying to be a part of the Campus Sustainability Day as a fall event to keep the momentum going, I'd be interested in talking to people about that.
Perfect. So on that one, just two quick things. One is definitely, Laura, you could just send me an email to joshuacooperhawaii@gmail, and I'll definitely follow up with you. And then I was going to go to the UN report, but let me pull up something real quick that is based on what the two of you were saying. This is an idea that we're looking at also to do system-wide. It's called a Graduation Pledge Alliance. And the idea was just exactly what you're kind of sharing right now about students getting excited and involved and wanting to do things. And so one of the things they decided, and it's worked really well when we've done it at West Oahu and over on Maui before, the graduation pledge is pretty simple. It just says, I pledge to explore and take into account the social and environmental consequences of any job I consider, and will try to improve these aspects of any organization for which I work. So we're trying to actually do that so that every campus would actually put that into their graduation. And then the interesting thing is every student that's ever been interested in this, who's taken the pledge, the crazy thing, they've all gotten hired, because most of the time when employers ask you questions, you're just so nervous to do well as best as you could. And the interesting thing is, the students that then were there like, do you have any questions for us? Of course, most people are like, no, thank you. I just want to leave now. Do I have the job? The students were like, yeah, actually, I want to know about your sustainability program. I noticed there was no recycling here. What are you doing with your paper? And every one of them got the job every time, and then moved all the way up in leadership. So one idea, one is it's practical for students that they can, when they're going for jobs, they're, prepared. Two, it's not just, you graduate from school and everything we learned in college doesn't make sense because there's the economy out there or something like that. It's a real good integrative initiative to really bring people together. So we could also look at doing this between all the campuses, and everyone loves to have one of those little tassels around their shoulders at graduation, which I never knew about until I graduated, and I had a couple of them. Then everybody's like, what's this one for and what's that for? So we could kind of come with something that's a little bit more cultural and a little bit better, but we could have this announcement in the graduations and work on getting that for each island. So that was just one idea of this graduation pledge, that it'd be great to work with you on Kauai, Laura, and to connect also with Hilo and other campuses as well as at Manoa, because it would only take, it doesn't even take as long as it takes for people to take those selfies when they walk across the stage. So it wouldn't really add time, but it'd be a great way to engage everyone. So that's one thing that we can look at. And if you let me know also through email, one of the ideas that you were talking about of the date in the fall when that is, we'll also try to participate as well. Following up with the work based on what Gary Hoosier gave me, I'll just give a short summary since everyone's sharing more on all the islands, and that's great. Gary gave me a small synopsis of what the issue was on Kauai, and then I kind of gave him the format of what's possible with various UN human rights instruments. The main thing we were going over for was the UN Human Rights Committee. The UN Human Rights Committee focuses on civil and political rights, and the main thing is they're reviewing the United States. That's good because it doesn't happen too often. So the U.S. finally turned in its report, and what happens is it's a 3-hour review by 18 experts from around the world. And of course, when you're looking at the United States, we have a lot of civil and political rights problems. We have the NAACP there, we have Amnesty International, we have Human Rights Watch, we have people representing the people in Guantanamo Bay. There's over 70 different NGOs from around the country came. So I was pretty sure, Kauai and Hawaii, we weren't going to have center stage, but the coalition is the U.S. Human Rights Network, and they do a really good job. So the first thing, we get to actually brief the committee. So everyone was able to get 1 minute to 90 seconds to brief them. So under Article 1, the right of self-determination, and that people get to determine their economic, social, and cultural development is one of the main parts of that. And also people can use their land as they want is paragraph 2. I was able to speak along with a lot of other indigenous cultures and communities and nations, such as the Navajo Nation, and we were able to make that presentation to the committee members. And the committee members were very happy to hear about it and said that they would also include that and look forward to following up with the United States on that. So we did get to speak officially at the UN Human Rights Committee in the Palais Wilson on the morning before the review of the United States. The other thing that we're able to do, where there was the UN Human Rights Council was also meeting, and that's a 3-week session that happens every March. We did a couple of things there. There was a special workshop sponsored by South Africa, and what South Africa did, as well as Ecuador, is they wanted to look at a binding treaty on corporations related to human rights. So there was a 2-day conference workshop sponsored by South Africa, and the main thing they're looking at is what would a binding treaty look like on corporations. And we're able to speak with the chair from South Africa and Ecuador, and the important thing that was brought up was, for all the examples, it was always indigenous people and people from developing countries saying what happened to them. And they said, well, it really seems like it's a north-south issue. And we're able to then make a speech, but then also meet with the chairs afterwards and say, it's not really north-south, it was on the equator too in Hawaii. And it's more and more people in developed countries that the corporations are having more influence. So they actually said to send them an update, which we did send, and we'll be able to participate with them. The other thing is there's a working group focusing on business and human rights. And there's also a forum on business and human rights. And that's based on the guiding principles on business and human rights. So we actually have those mechanisms to utilize. The other thing that was going on was the Special Rapporteur on Human Rights and the Environment. His name is John Knox. He's actually a professor. He's writing his report on human rights and the environment and submits it every March. So there was a resolution that followed that, and we were able to meet with him and be able to share the information that Councilmember Hoosier shared with me. So we're able to do that in those certain ways. The other thing is there's a special rapporteur on human rights and toxics, and they also said they'd be interested in getting information on that. So I sent an update to Hoosier, but I haven't heard back yet, but wanted to at least let everybody know what we're doing on behalf of Kawaii based on the information that was made to us. And it's just the beginning, but it was an easy way to do it because we're already there doing other projects. So that was good in that it didn't cost extra, but it was just a way to at least bring our issues forward and let other people know about what is happening. The next thing that we'll go through is the Hokulea, because it's a pretty amazing example of what's going on today. So yesterday, they actually had the first meeting, and at this first meeting, they kind of gave the entire schedule of what they'd be doing from June 2013 and April 2014, but then all the way for the next 5 years. So one of the things that the Hokulea is planning on doing is really connecting the students with the program, but also a message of peace, which I think Don probably pointed out that Nainoa spoke about, but also sustainability. And they want to use the Voyage when they thought about all the people who are flying everywhere to meet, you know, the traditional Voyage in canoe, what could be done. So they're looking at things with people planting trees and then posting that, people starting projects, people sharing all their different events, but also what they can do when they go to places. So they'll actually be leaving here from Hawaii. They're looking at the 17th, so people can actually go and send their aloha one last time. Yesterday, both of the boats were available, the canoes were available, so you could actually go on and visit. But this is the schedule, and they're planning on leaving Hilo when they get the right winds. So Hilo can go visit them, you know, Ruth, and they're in UNA, USA. They're going to leave from Hilo and go straight down to Tahiti first, then going to the Society Islands, then Cook Islands, Samoa will be in September. The important thing about the visit to Samoa and what's going on there is that's going to be the Small Island Developing States meeting. Sure, let me show that there. So if you're looking at that, this is what it looks like up top, but this is where they're going. And in Samoa, that'll be the actual UN Small Island Developing States Conference will be kicking off in Apia, Samoa. So it'll be kind of exciting that all the countries in the world will be in Samoa, as well as the same time as the Hokulea coming in. That was a big work that was done to be able to make sure those coincided. What they also said is they're available and open to the many other locations. One person was there from Australia. She'll be working on the Darwin welcome when they land in Northern Territories there. But for the other islands, it's all the possibilities and opportunities such as Tonga, Aotearoa, New Zealand, Fiji, Kanaki, New Caledonia. That's exciting because right now, of course, they're actually looking at self-determination and voting on forms of self-determination and independence in the future. So that's quite significant there. All the work then, of course, in Australia, and then going over to the big shift, of course, going then to Madagascar and South Africa, Namibia, Brazil. They'll be in Miami, New York City next summer. So we're looking at setting up things at the United Nations with them on that voyage and coordinating that. And then, of course, back to Hilo and Oahu, hopefully safely, as we all hope, in 2017. So what they're doing is they're going to be doing something similar to what was done by the voyaging canoe out of Papua New Guinea, and collecting examples of sustainability, but also climate change adaptation, and using that then as a tool to be able to share with one another of different models. So on the canoe voyage, they actually looked at growing seaweed and how that then was an extra source of income. That then, besides growing seaweed as an extra source of income, they're able to then involve the youth and women involved in that and then create sustainability projects on a wider scale. They also looked at mangrove planting and how they're able to do more planting of mangroves that then was able to keep the sand in place. Once they got the mangroves in place, then they actually brought in crabs to then grow more food with the crabs as well as the fish that gathered around the mangroves. So this voyage here will be a great way to not only focus on Oceania and the Pacific, which will be amazing at the first leg, but then to share the climate change adaptation actions that are being used by communities and impacted peoples around the planet. So that's kind of one exciting thing there. In honor of that, I thought we would show this one quick blessing of the Hokulea, just to have that there.
The canoe is common to all the islands, their history, their culture, and their genesis. That brings a sense of identity that all Polynesians and Pacific Islanders can be proud of. For 37 years, we sailed about 125,000 nautical miles. She was worn and she was tired. We had over 1,000 volunteers, 26,500 volunteer man-hours. We needed the community to come together to rebuild Hokulea. But what Hokulea did is it rebuilt our community. The worldwide voyage is to make connections with many people, many cultures, many countries around the whole earth. The idea is that there will be a lei sown around the world that is put together of flowers of compassion, caring, and love. And we need someone to give us the blessing to do that. We are extraordinarily privileged and blessed that His Holiness would come to the canoe.
The Dalai Lama has consecrated and blessed the Hokulea. He has also presented a beautiful fabric that is now being mounted onto one of the masts of the Hokulea.
This day is the beginning of the worldwide voyage. The Dalai Lama blessing the canoe and the people all gathering and sharing prayers means a lot.
We sail as best as we can in the old way. That was all the things that are provided in nature: stars, moon, sun, ocean waves, sea life, the wind. We're trying to find that road, that wake that's in the ocean of our ancestors. Hokulea was our tool to remember.
Okay, so we thought that was a great one just to give us a sense of what's going on, and definitely for our campuses to look at new ways to participate in that and see what's coming up. The other thing is we've done a little bit of this on the Earth Day Every Day in Hawaii campus sharing. If there's any other campus that didn't share yet, we'd like to make sure that's available real quick. If not, then we'll be going into the 350.org campaign. 350.org, we thought we'd show that for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, of course, is because the founder of 350.org will be here. Bill McKibben will be speaking on Thursday evening from 6 to 7:30. We'll do our best to try to record that and then share that with the other campuses. But one of the amazing things about Bill McKibben was, just like you, Lori, as a faculty member teaching, and we were able to host him, I think, 5 years ago on Maui as well as here on Oahu. But then he created the idea of 350.org with his class, just with a dozen students. And now many of those students, of course, I'm able to meet and work with them everywhere at the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change negotiations. And they're just vibrant young people who said, you know, this is going to be my life's work. I know I can make a difference in this world. And through working with Bill McKibben, they've been able to coordinate that. They've been able to put pressure, of course, on the XL pipeline, which was just delayed again on Friday this week, or last week. And so Bill McKibben's talk is very important and very valuable to have that. But the other thing about 350 is each island is also changing it. One of the other exciting groups, when Kawaii was talking about, reminded me of Babes Against Biotech. So Babes Against Biotech is, here's one of their calendars, the good side I think we should show. And but what they do, which is kind of bringing up the point you were talking about on Kauai, is they do a good job at actually following the legislators and watching what they're doing. And so meeting with the leader of Babes Against Biotech, very savvy individual, very passionate about politics as well, also with the knack for timing. Anywhere she goes, she always runs into elected officials having lunches and drinks with biotech industry folks. She always just waves at them all. And of course, they're always nervous because they know she'll protest or let people know, and she's really good on the internet as well. But they actually sent it where they put kapunas down there at the state legislature and just told them to follow elected officials around certain bills. So they would actually just wave and then do this to them. And of course, no elected officials like, what are they doing? Like, who are these, you know, lovely elderly people chasing me around all the different hearings? And it was actually Babes Against Biotech's goal was saying, we're watching you. And then they only came in at the end of the legislative session just this week doing it themselves. So they obviously knew who was behind it for all those months at the legislature. But it is exciting to see different community groups standing up for the environment. Maybe the environment will be one of those tools that'll be able to do that. 350.org, though, is quite amazing that way. 350.org, they do it all over the world. So this is the different perspective here of the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Kathy was a student here at University of Hawaii. She wrote this amazing poem, Tell Them, to really kind of describe the culture, but what will be lost with climate change that most people just aren't really aware of. And the way she says it is so powerful. One of the things she puts here at the end is, tell them, some of us are a bit more skeptical of God, but most probably tell them we don't want to leave, we've never wanted to leave, and that we are nothing without our islands. So it's an amazing poem, and it's a great way to see how the youth have been able to organize with 350 to be able to coordinate in whatever way they really wanted to. And I can't really do it justice for this slam poetry, so I thought we'd actually show it to you. But it's a pretty amazing example if you look at Kathy and just listen to her give her slam poetry of Tell Them. So we'll just watch that real quick as a good example.
I prepared the package for my friends in the States. The dangling earrings woven into half moons, black pearls glinting like an eye in a storm of tight spirals. The baskets, sturdy, also woven. Brown cowrie shell shiny, intricate mandalas shaped by calloused fingers. Inside the basket, I write a message. Wear these earrings to parties, to classes and meetings, to the corner store, the grocery store, and while riding the bus. Store jewelry, incense, copper coins, and curling letters like this one in this basket. And when others ask you where you got this, you tell them they're from the Marshall Islands. Show them where it is on a map. Tell them we are a proud people toasted dark brown as the carved ribs of a tree stump. Tell them we are descendants of the finest navigators in the world. Tell them our islands were dropped from a basket carried by a giant. Tell them we are the hollow hulls of canoes as fast as the wind slicing through the Pacific Sea. We are wood shavings and drying pandanus leaves and siquipiros at kemems. Tell them we are the sweet harmonies of mothers, aunties, sisters, songs late into night. Tell them we are whispered prayers, the breath of God, a crown of fuchsia flowers encircling Auntie Mary's white seafoam hair. Tell them we are styrofoam cups of Kool-Aid red, waiting patiently for the Ilomid. We are papaya golden sunsets bleeding into a glittering open sea. We are skies uncluttered, majestic and sweeping in their landscape. We are the ocean, terrifying and regal in its power. Tell them we are dusty rubber slippers swiped from concrete doorsteps. We are the ripped seams and the broken door handles of taxis. We are sweaty hands shaking another sweaty hand in heat. Tell them we are days and nights hotter than anything you can imagine. Tell them we are little girls with braids, cartwheeling beneath the rain. We are shards of broken beer bottles burrowed beneath fine, white sand. We are children, flinging like rubber bands across a road clogged with chugging cars. Tell them we only have one road. And after all this, tell them about the water, how we have seen it rising, flooding across our cemeteries, gushing over our seawalls, and crashing against our homes. Tell them what it's like to see the entire ocean level with the land. Tell them we are afraid. Tell them we don't know of the politics or the science, but we see what is in our own backyard. Tell them some of us are old fishermen who believe that God made us a promise. Tell them some of us are a little bit more skeptical of God. But most importantly, tell them we don't want to leave. We've never wanted to leave. And that we are nothing without our islands.
All right, so that's probably, I think, one of the most powerful examples discussing climate change, as it really is a life or death situation. It's not just some environmental issue of tree hugging or caring about the earth in a small way, or like a hallmark moment of Earth Day. And she was, I think, one of the best ambassadors and advocates to be able to share what it truly means with climate change. So we want to feature that as it's one example of 350.org, but definitely an indigenous model of what's going on with the Marshall Islands. Another thing that came out of the Marshall Islands, which deserves coverage as well, is the Madro Declaration. The Madro Declaration came up last November. The most important thing they were looking at, of course, there was they were able to get Ambassador de Broom to focus and to organize, to put pressure on having a Madro Declaration for climate leadership. They're able to get even Secretary Kerry to participate and make a statement. But the Madro Declaration is one tool that the people of the Marshall Islands are using to get governments to reduce their CO2 emissions and to take action. So it's kind of important that what they did, the main thing they focused it on was actually the 45th Pacific Island Forum when it was taking place there in Madro. This July, the Pacific Island Forum will actually take place in Palau. So that is another important thing to look at and then begin to discuss. Are there any comments or statements based on anything we've discussed so far for that last period? Because I know we looked at a lot of different things there. No?
Can we, the Poetry Slam by Kathy, is that on 350.org? Is that where
It's
that
on
is?
350.org, and there's also a couple different versions of it as well. But they're all on YouTube. You can find them on YouTube. I talked to Kathy, and she said it was okay, so you can just pull them from YouTube and share it. But that might be a good event that we could do in Hilo, either in September, October, when the UN season starts off at the General Assembly.
I just wanted to add, I'm personal friends with Nomi Carmela, the president of Babes Against Biotech, and it's by no chance that she is where a lot of the legislatures end up after hours. She's put her entire life towards doing watchdog stuff, government watchdog stuff. And I mean, she's an amazing person and has devoted her entire life to it. It's a lot of work that she does, along with everybody else,
Yeah.
So,
No,
just
we
wanted
had,
to say that.
No, that's great. I was fortunate to have dinner with her and Ben Cohen. So we were actually all there describing, strategies of what we should do. And no, she did laugh because it's kind of like certain things. She also joked that she said, even when she's just actually not going somewhere, she just wanted to get a nice piece of fish, and she landed, boom, there they are having lunch. So no, it was in no way taking anything away. I think she's very creative as well. One thing we were looking at is looking at another place too. So this is Maryland. They have an environmental scorecard. And the other thing that's also exciting is New York City has a human rights report card. So one of the things we're looking at doing also in the next year is a couple of different things. One thing we pushed with Human Rights Day this year, this was our 9th annual Human Rights Day at the state legislature, we pushed Hawaii to be a state of human rights and to celebrate human rights every March. Because in March 1st, of course, commemorates the big nuclear testing, unfortunately, that took place in the Marshall Islands, with over 66 tests that took place. March 8th is International Women's Day. March 21st, International Day to combat all forms of racial discrimination. And then March 22nd is Water Day. What we were doing was building on the tradition that had been done with Washington, D.C., Seattle. They started a city of human rights. And so they were just simple resolutions, but then they used them as a tool whenever their elected officials were going to do something that went against the human rights, that said, you adopted that resolution as a city of human rights. So we got the idea to do Hawaii as a state of human rights, and we didn't know if we could get it passed, but we also thought it was a good election year, so we might. And sure enough, it actually did get passed by the legislature this year, and then we plan on using that as a great tool. And now other states are saying they want to pass the same resolution, so we might just go in the opposite order. We got the state of human rights first, but then we can go back and do city and county. But we can look at those on the website. But they're simple little bills, and it brings people out to give testimony, and then it gets people involved. So one thing we might look at is an environmental and a human rights scorecard, and maybe just pick 5 small bills, but then print that every year, and then we can ask people how their legislators score and start doing that. So I think we do need some simple tools, and students would love it. Everybody doesn't want to get grades, but if you're getting grades and you actually could grade someone else, wow, how fun is that? So that's one thing we're looking at that way. Another thing they came up with was pretty interesting with restaurants. Everybody in Hawaii loves eating. They did a Diner's Guide to Ethical Eating on working conditions of American restaurants, but also food, but also the workers. So that was kind of another good little tool that we could look at. So it's about looking at the other models that exist out there and going from there. Go ahead.
What's the ROC?
It's a Restaurant Opportunity Center. So it's
And they put
Restaurant
that
Opportunity
pamphlet together,
Center
huh?
United.
Okay.
Here's I can put that up and you can pull up their website. It's
There it is.
www.rockunited.org. What they've done as a good job is they actually connect all the issues of how workers are treated in restaurants, how your food is prepared, where the food comes from, all those ethical issues around every meal. Because the exciting thing is we kind of vote 3 times a day, or at least 2 for most people's meals. So it was just one more thing to include there. The last couple things we'll do, because we have 10 minutes left, is this is the Kaleo newspaper for what's going to be happening with sustainability. We'll have a climate justice table there tomorrow and a human rights club. But the last thing that we have that's kind of exciting is it's actually a campaign that's going on where people are able to actually look at what's happening with this new film called Years of Living Dangerously. So it's actually a new series, and we thought we'd just show the trailer of, it's going to be showing every Sunday, and campuses can sponsor that. So we thought that would be a good thing to look at. We showed it already last week, and then tomorrow we're having a human rights conference. On Friday we're having a conference, Human Rights in Oceania, and we're going to show the second one. But here's James Cameron talking about the idea behind it, and it's interesting to see everyone sponsoring them and what's going on with that. Gotcha.
Everybody thinks that climate change is about melting glaciers and polar bears. I think it's a big mistake. This is 100% of people's story.
I felt the water rising, and we went under. I knew I lost her immediately.
I don't think scary is the right word. Dangerous, definitely.
We are putting together the ultimate cast. They're going to be the correspondents.
There is no more fire season. We have wildfires all year round.
This is unbelievable.
We used to have seasons back then, and now we don't.
This is a lake?
Wow.
Could Yemen run out of water?
Yes, possibly. This abstract idea that the oceans are rising is the next generation's problem.
Climate disruption is not a political issue, it's a moral issue.
A thermometer is not Republican, it's not Democrat.
If I've seen it in the last 10 years of my life, what am I going to see in the next 50 years?
There's going to be more storms, and they're going to be worse.
What have you done? Do you think it makes sense to build or just give up?
I really don't think the people are going to give up.
You don't want to be on the side that said I had a chance and I didn't do anything.
You've got to bring an understanding. There's an urgent need to change things, or it's all going to be gone. People need to help make it right.
Let's go get it done! Forward, together!
If we think that there's something can be done, then let's do it.
This is about survival. This is the biggest story of our time.
So you actually then, for the first time, have a group with such talent and skills to actually try to make it the story of our time. So the response from the first one was interesting. Most people thought it was amazing to see who they chose. They had Thomas Friedman looking at Syria and looking at that war potentially being started by a drought, which is not covered in the conflict. They had Harrison Ford looking at Indonesia and meeting with the Ministry of Forest, who's the one that makes the final decision. And then they also had Don Cheadle going to Texas and focusing on where they shut down a meat plant because they didn't have any more cattle because of the drought, and trying to look at 2,000 jobs lost in one day. So that was kind of a interesting one there. The one I was going to show real quick is the one on Christmas Island with the scientist. And
the inference in uncovering an unprecedented behavior in climate in the last 30, 40 years, as opposed to the natural variations last 6,000. The strong inference is that that's causally linked and that that's related to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Sure.
carbon dioxide that's been on the rise as a result of human activity. And it turns out that the very thing Kim is studying, climate change, is threatening the very place where she's conducting her research. This coral island is slowly falling victim to the rising seas.
So how long before the rest of Christmas Island, the bits with the trees on, end up looking like this?
Well, I mean, you want my educated opinion about it. I would say about 1 meter in 100 years.
So within the lifetime of your grandkids?
Yeah, that most of Christmas will be having serious problems with sea level rise.
It's a disappearing country.
Hurts my heart being in love with this place. It hurts my heart.
So that is just one more way, and that's good because when you look at the climate change issue, for the most part, we had penguins with Gore, and we had polar bears that came up after that, but usually the people and the impact that's happening with people isn't focused on enough. So the Year of Living Dangerously is doing a good job at going all around and meeting with different people and sharing and discussing that. So it'll be interesting to see how it's working. What I want to do is just show the one thing with Harrison Ford, and then we should have enough for just a closing from everyone, and then thank everyone for participating.
I needed something outside of myself to believe in. And I found in nature a kind of God, an organization and a beauty that, for me, supplied inspiration.
We've been to Indonesia and we've been to Tesanilo, a flagship national park, which should have been protected from deforestation.
There's only 18% left of the land that has not been slashed, burned, degraded.
Right now, it's being redeveloped illegally as palm oil plantations.
Indonesia has potentially lost a quarter of its forest since 1990.
The problem, in the past 40 years, you cut forest and you get some money. Now the question is, how do you keep your forest standing?
From what I had seen, where I'd been, the things that I'd done, the people that I talked to, I got angry.
We're the ones who caused them all this distress. First we took the home away, then they killed the mothers. And are we then just going to say, no, they're not worth it?
Conservation and corruption, they're not meant to be side by side. Nature doesn't need people. People need nature to survive, to thrive. And when it's gone, it's gone.
Oh, I can't wait to see the Minister of Forestry. I can't wait.
People need to know about it. People need to see what's going wrong, and they have to be exposed to the mechanisms that can help make it right. Things have got to be done now.
All right, so that's, it is interesting. It's for us that are involved in the environment, we're like, okay, everybody's known this for a while, but it might be a good way to reach out and talk with classmates and community people, especially a lot of these people always come on vacation on our islands as well, but they're doing sponsorships on the website where each campus can host viewings, so maybe that's something we could look at with Sustainability Club and combine it with the other usual documentary films that we show. But I know this is our last one for the semester, so this kind of winds down our 6th season that we've been doing the Human Rights Sustainability Campus Community Dialogue, but we're always open every year to come up with whatever topics you want, and so we'll plan for September, October, November. Usually December is finals, so we don't get as big of a crowd, but September, October, November, and then January, February, March, and April. So any interest that you do have, we'll do that. We'll also usually do a summer one. We have a Human Rights Summer Academy, and we bring in a speaker, usually July 20th through 25th. So we'll be able to connect again then, but any ideas you have, we're really open for input, and we'd really like to be interactive, and each island and each campus come up with their topics. Because it can really, it can originate from anywhere. Speakers can be all on Kawaii once, like we did in the November issue. We had Kawaii and Moko Keawe on the Big Island, Hawaii. So we can look at that for the upcoming year. And my email is Joshua Cooper Hawaii, all spelled out, at gmail.com, or my phone number is 808-542-7204. So we want to thank everyone. We have 20 seconds left, it looks like. But thank you very much for participating. We hope the short films were good to add to the talks as well. Next time we'll be looking at other things. In September it'll be election year. Maybe we can even do candidate forums for the Senate and coordinate that. And then that way the senators and people running for Congress could speak on all the islands. So mahalo. Thank you.